Okay, and just in the interest of time, I'm just going to make one quick announcement and then just read the rules, and then we can move forward. Ms. Ann Pope had given us, when she spoke earlier, an announcement about a candidate forum. And on Monday, August 31st at 6:30, the 100 Black Men at 387 Clinton Avenue at the CEFCU building will be sponsoring a candidate forum along with the African American clergy. The forum starts at 6:30, and that includes districts representatives for District 1, 3, and 6, right? Okay, so remember on August 31st, there will also be a candidate forum. Okay, let's go over real quickly the rules one more time for us with the program. The rules are as follows. For our three candidates here, each will have an opening statement, and their statement will be 5 minutes each. They will, after the opening statements, we will read questions and they will answer questions, and the answers will be 2 minutes each. And that'll be followed by closing remarks of 2 minutes each, and it will all be timed by our timekeepers here who have kept us on point tonight. The timekeepers are in full view of everybody, and so as a result, our candidates will see and know at all times how much time they have left. Okay, everybody will answer the same question, and I'll just try to keep it as uniform as possible. The other thing is that, as usual, the general rules are that campaign signs, t-shirts, or demonstrations for any candidate are not allowed. We ask everyone with a cell phone to please turn it off or put it on vibrate. The only approved media can record or photograph during this forum, and candidates can distribute campaign literature after closing statements, and candidates are welcome to remain after the program to meet and greet the voters. Okay? And I'm going to start a little bit different this time. I'm going to start with Mr. Ellis, our candidate here for the 6th Albany County Legislative District, to please start us off with an opening statement. Mr. Ellis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Call and response, I call, you respond. I want to thank our sponsors. I was on the other side of this coin probably about a year ago, where I was the moderator and the assembly candidates and the congressional candidates were here being hazed by the public. And it was quite enjoyable on that side, but not so much right now. We'll see how much more enjoyable it gets as we move forward. I was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio, once the murder capital of the United States, in the epitome of the Rust Belt. I'm the son of a public school teacher and a businessman. And despite our surroundings and the conditions of my upbringing, there was a lot of love and support. That love and support afforded me the opportunity to attend an Ivy League institution, Dartmouth College. I was a decent athlete and a leader, captain of the basketball team, head of my fraternity. After Dartmouth, I returned home to Youngstown, Ohio, not because I was a mama's boy, though some might say, but because I wanted to give back to my community. And I was passionate about being involved in community development, economic development, and those things that affected that wretched place. But there was no room for me there. There were barriers to entry, and there was no job and no place for me in the end. I worked on my master's degree. I worked 2 jobs. One of these jobs changed my life. Ladies and gentlemen, I saw hell. up close and personal for at least 48 hours every week while I was in graduate school because I lived and worked in a place called the Lincoln Place. It was baby jail. Deadbeat job for many of the city's African American population. I didn't read about the prison industrial complex in a book. I lived the school to prison pipeline for a little over 2 years. I saw the failure of the educational system, the failure of the social service system, the failure of the law enforcement and justice system all at the same time. I saw a dead boy on the street that was my student with his arms separated from his body because he ran away from the facility and was hit by a truck on the thruway. I saw a boy raped by a staff member that he was entrusted to his care. I saw a boy attempt to kill himself with a toothbrush. I saw a workforce that was addicted to nicotine, alcohol, marijuana. I saw slavery live and in person. But beneath all of this, I was able to see love, determination, self-worth, intelligence. I learned that our kids were smart, really smart. I learned that of all the principles, theories, and concepts taught in the schoolhouse, love was the most important. Why am I running? Better access, better paying jobs, and a better quality of life. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants to be a part of something. Everybody wants to be empowered. Everybody wants to have their voice heard. I will empower the people of this community. Tall, short, black, white, anything in between, for richer or for poor. All of those things, all of those people matter. I have vast experience, and I've been in the Capital Region for about 12 years. As we go through the Q&A, you will hear about my professional background, my leadership, and most importantly, my commitment to community. Not only will you learn about my youth efforts through scholarship, mentorship, our workforce development as my career, you will learn about me as a man. And for that, I stand proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Our next candidate, Ms. Dannielle Fein. Ms. Dannielle Hille, please come forward.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dannielle Hille, and I'm running for the new 6 districts because we need change. For far too long, communities of color have been neglected. Buildings are crumbling, businesses are closed, children have no place to go, and people are struggling to survive, making tough decisions about basic living needs. These communities need a voice, but not just a voice that understands. We cannot understand by merely listening to others talk and taking notes. To understand, you must be part of our communities, either by being a resident or by being an advocate with your boots on the ground and your sleeves rolled up. I have been both a resident, struggling myself to survive, and an advocate. For many years, I have worked to better our communities, from fighting to hold building owners responsible for leaving their properties abandoned to decay, to ensuring dangerous conditions are addressed, to working with individuals coming home from prison, and working with the criminal justice system to build a relationship with the community, and working to reduce wrongful convictions, just to name a few. Revitalization is the key. By restoring the historic neighborhoods in this district, we can create opportunities for home ownership, affordable housing, jobs, and entrepreneurship, especially for people of color and women. In order to achieve progress, we must come together as a community and empower each other. This district needs an activist that understands how the county affects its residents. a voice that understands the need for social service, housing, employment, and law reform, an individual who knows we must assist those in need and empower them to succeed. Instead of closing doors, we must provide opportunities for our young people to grow, thrive, and become tomorrow's leaders, and we must provide assistance to adults in need to ensure that they can survive and succeed. We need someone who will listen to the people and work with them to create a better community for everyone. I hope that my history of working to better these communities for no reason other than the fact that I care will make me the person this district chooses on primary day. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the NAACP and the League of Women Voters and a Village. I really appreciate this opportunity to come here and have this forum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hille. You gave me the pronunciation of your last name and I still got it wrong. I apologize for that. And our third candidate, Mr. Sam Fein.
Hello, my name is Sam Fein. First, I'd just like to thank the NAACP, the League of Women Voters, a Village, and all the other sponsors of this event. I think it's a great opportunity to people to hear from the candidates. Here tonight to discuss some of the issues in our community and why I'm running. Over the years, our community has been ignored by the government. We've had programs for the youth be cut, buildings have been left to go vacant, businesses have left, and people are struggling. We need a candidate who will fight to help the community. For years, our community has been a dumping ground. We've had industrial sites always put in low-income minority communities, and now the newest thing is we have crude oil coming through. If a train derails, hundreds of people could die, and families are living every day, living right next to the tracks, having to deal with the negative health effects. Now, I will fight for this community. We need a candidate who's going to work hard, put in the effort, fight for the community. My past experience has been working on progressive congressional campaigns throughout the Northeast. I've worked for candidates that are continue to fight for things like raising the minimum wage, equal justice under the law, and tougher federal gun control measures. Through this, I've shown my commitment that I am willing to put in the effort to fight for issues I care about, issues that we all care about that are important to our community. Over the last few months, I've been walking around this district, talking to voters, listening to people's concerns. What I hear from people is they want a legislator who's going to put in the effort to listen to them and really hear out their concerns and really take that voice, take those concerns back to the legislature and speak up. I think we all need to work together to solve our problems. We need to get people together in a room, talk about the issues, and really work together to come up with these solutions. And we need a candidate who's going to listen. Now, my family has deep roots within Albany and in the 6th District. In the early 20th century, when my family came to America, they settled in Albany, and they opened businesses in Albany in the 6th District on South Pearl and North Pearl Street. And I grew up hearing about these businesses and hearing about Albany, but we can tell now that businesses have mostly left. We need to attract more businesses. We need to attract more businesses so we can have jobs for people in the community. But the number one concern people are talking to me about is that we need more programs for the youth. We need after-school programs, summer programs, stuff like sports and activities, but we also need programs that will teach kids the skills they need to succeed in life. Skills like applying for jobs, writing a resume, applying for colleges and applying for trade schools. Too many kids don't have these vital skills that they need to succeed. We need to show them that there are good opportunities out there for them and work with them to help them, because all kids in Albany County should have equal opportunity. So I think we really need someone who's willing to put in the effort, to put in all of their time into helping the community, working with people to help the community. I want to be that voice for all of us by representing the 6th District as your county legislator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fein. The first question we'll start with, we'll ask Ms. Hille. We'll start with you. And here's the question. Social services represents a significant portion of the county budget. How do you see social services as an agent for change in our county? Right ahead.
Nope. Okay, here we go. So social services hasn't changed much in decades. It doesn't really handle the living costs of today, and we have to work to reform it. Right now, social services pays an apartment subsidy of about $500. And I don't even know of a studio in Albany that runs for $500, let alone an apartment that can house a family with a child, which needs to be at least a 2-bedroom. I think that if we reform the current system and make it a system that's progressive and that allows people to improve and eventually improve enough that they can get off of the system, that it'll be more beneficial not only to the people who need it in their time of need, but to the community and to the system itself.
Thank you, Ms. Hille. Mr. Fein, same question. Social services represents a significant portion of the county budget. How do you see social services as an agent for change in our county?
Well, I think that social services is the most vital service that the county offers. Social services helps many people in the county stay afloat. It helps them feed their families. It helps them pay for their housing. And I think that this is really important. But I think we have to do a better job at outreach about social services programs available. Within Albany County, only 70% of people who are eligible for food stamps are currently taking advantage of it. And I think that shows that we need to do a better job at getting the word out to people about programs available. In Schenectady County, that number's 90%, and I think that's unacceptable. We can't have children who are going hungry because their parents don't know about vital programs available. Now, I think another part of this is that many residents of the 6th District have talked to me about the Department of Social Services and how it's not doing a good job of working with people. They find some of the people who work there are being rude and aren't being very helpful, and I think we need to take action there to make sure that the Social Services Department is working with people to make sure that they get the benefits that they need. Now, I also think that the county needs to take as an active role as possible in social services, and one of those areas needs to be more programs for the youth. It's probably the number one issue that people tell me as I go door to door and talk to them. When they grew up in Albany, there were a lot of programs for them available that helped them through their childhood and really helped them grow up and helped them turn into who they are today. But a lot of those programs have been cut, and so we really need to expand social services, expand youth programs, and really make sure that people know about programs available to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fein. Mr. Ellis, same question, and I'll just real quickly repeat it. Social services represents a significant portion of the county budget. How do you see social services as an agent for change in our county?
Beyond customer service issues and the nuts and bolts of the numbers, if you look at the county budget, you'll see that the county budget is lopsided towards public safety, and there's really not a lot of attention and manpower, FTEs, employees in social services, even though it is a significant portion of the budget, but not the main portion of the budget. So the first thing is you have to put some money behind it. I feel that there's just a lack of information about the services that are available. And that information is not necessarily always delivered in a format that can be consumed by folks that need it. So are there interpreters for folks that speak different languages? There's, in the 6th district, a large Latin American population. I don't know if all of the information that's distributed is translated into Spanish. There's lots of different programs that exist. There's a divide and conquer strategy. You have a bunch of small programs that don't really have a bunch of capacity and therefore are relegated to be ineffective. The real question about social services is how do the systems interplay with each other? There's several layers of government that are interacting when you have to deliver services. So it's not just county social services. There's federal programs that fund county and state programs that fund county programs that fall under the social services umbrella. I know currently in my office in SUNY, we work with the SNAP grant. It's clumsy. It's not easy to hit the milestones. The agencies that take on that program are often, left footing the bill because they're not reimbursed. So it's a very complex question, very complex answer.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Our next question, we will start with Mr. Fein. The question is, the person says they feel the need for someone who has energy and will actually reach out to people. How do you feel you bring an edge and will be able to bring the energy needed to change the 6th district?
Well, I feel that I have a lot of energy. I'm a young, energetic person, and I've been spending all my time walking around the district every day and just talking with people about the issues. And I agree with whoever asked that question. I think we do need energetic people in there. We need too many people tell me that they only see their legislator once every 4 years when the election comes around, and they tell me that they don't know what the county government's doing, and they don't really feel like there's someone fighting out there for them. So I think we do really need someone who's energetic, and the only way we're going to get done the things that we want to do is if we get people in the community to organize people in the community together, speak out about these issues, go to the legislature meetings and speak out at the public hearings, because we're going to face a lot of opposition on these issues. And so we're going to need to organize together and fight together on these issues. And in order to do that, we need a legislator who has the energy to do that and who's shown commitment of that energy. And I feel that I've really shown that commitment because I've been out there talking to voters every day, just knocking on doors, ringing doorbells, and really just going out there with an energetic attitude and just having good conversations with people. So I feel that I am a very energetic person, and I'd be the right person for this job in that respect. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fein. Mr. Ellis, same question. The questioner says they feel a need for someone who has energy and will actually reach out to people. How do you feel you bring an edge and are able to bring the energy needed to change the 6th district?
Certainly there's a bunch of energy, enthusiasm, and stamina that you need to be an elected official. I didn't mention in my opening, but I am a married man with a 3-year-old child. So everybody that knows my wife, please tell her I did mention that I was a married man in this meeting. There is a certain amount of sacrifice that a family makes and that you must make for your family in order to be an effective lawmaker. And let's be clear here that as an elected official, you're really serving in 2 roles. One is as a rule maker and a lawmaker when you sit in a deliberative body, and the second is as a community leader, and it takes energy in both. Now, what you really need to understand is that too much energy could be like a nuclear fallout. And you have to understand the nuances of government, rulemaking, collaboration, and teamwork as you sit with your other colleagues in that body. So it's more like controlled and spontaneous combustion inside of an engine as opposed to lightning striking, destroying properties, the trees, and electrocuting people. So absolutely you need the energy. Absolutely you want to reach out to the community and touch the voters and engage in a type of value-driven process that pulls people in and lets their voice be heard, but that must be tempered and done appropriately so that you act the way you're supposed to act in a place that you're supposed to be.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. And Ms. Hille, same question. And if you like, I'll repeat it one more time for you. It says, the questioner says that they feel we need someone who has energy and will actually reach out to people. How do you feel you bring an edge and will be able to bring the energy needed to change the 6th district?
I definitely think that we need energy in whoever is chosen for the 6th district. I think that I've already shown that I have the energy to continue this fight. I work a full-time job, and I consult on the side for another organization. I also sit on community boards. I sit on the Mansion Neighborhood Association's board. I sit on It Could Happen to You's advisory committee board. I helped plan the National Night Out celebration. I sit on ACPAC, the Albany Police Community Advisory Committee, and I do all this while I run for this elected seat. And on top of that, while this is going on, I continue to fight to have a situation in my neighborhood corrected. And just the fact that I've already been out doing, I didn't just start this a few months ago when we started petitioning for signatures. I've been out there doing this already. So I've already shown that I have the energy to do this. And I'm going to continue to be able to do this as an elected official. And I'm going to keep doing it, and I have this energy to do it because I care.
Thank you, Ms. Hille. We'll start again at the end with Mr. Ellis. And the question is, what kind of experience do you have with progressive campaigns?
So when I moved to Albany, I was born and raised in the Democratic Assembly. Served as a business tax analyst for the Assembly Ways and Means Committee. Anybody that is familiar with the Assembly knows that the bread is buttered in the Ways and Means Committee. It was through that job that I was first introduced to campaigning, beating the street, lit drops, canvassing, phone banking, envelope stuffing, making those uncomfortable phone banking calls. Oh my goodness, yes, I learned all about it. Progressive, absolutely. We did issues, but I would say more so than any formal political campaign, I live my life as a progressive campaign. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm an endangered species in this country, being shot and killed all over the place. I take young men that look like me, and I put my energy into them and try to make them better. I was nationally recognized by PBS for my efforts as a mentor, here, right in the capital region. 30 boys a session, going to Ivy League institutions, doing things beyond our wildest dreams. The soapbox derby, read across America, all of those things. I live a progressive life. It's not about political campaigning and supporting issues. I was a member of the advisory board for the Capital District Leadership Roundtable, in which we raised about $25,000 and supported then Governor Eliot Spitzer and David Patterson. So I have been involved not only in my spare time, but in the political life as well, in progressive campaigns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Ms. Hille, same question. What kind of experience do you have with progressive campaigns?
This is the first time that I've actually been involved in a campaign. I've supported other progressives. I've worked with other progressive currently elected, formerly elected, to bring about change in my communities. And I support change in every way. But I'm learning right now. And I'm learning because I started my journey as an activist. That's where I started. For me, it was grassroots, boots on the ground, sleeves rolled up, getting my hands dirty, and helping my community. That's what I cared about. This opportunity is an opportunity for me to do more than I'm currently doing. And I have a lot to learn. I'm learning a lot as I go. And I don't believe that you ever stop learning. I think that you have to be open to learning as long as you're alive. And, you know, that's progressive in itself.
Thank you. And Mr. Fein, same question. What kind of experience do you have with progressive campaigns?
Well, after I graduated college, I went to work on a Senate campaign, Elizabeth Warren's campaign for Senate, and I believe she's one of the strongest progressive fighters in the U.S. Senate. You know, she's fighting back against Wall Street. She's fighting for people who are struggling. She's fighting for the middle class, for low-income people. And you know, I'm proud to have worked on that campaign. You know, I went into politics because I feel that the best way to make a difference is through politics and through changing policy. So that's why I got involved with progressive campaigns. And since then, I've worked on a couple other progressive congressional campaigns throughout the Northeast. And you know, I really enjoy working on campaigns because it's one of the ways you can really make a difference. Because when you support a candidate who supports progressive policies, then you have the opportunity to really make a difference. And so that's why I decided to run, is because I wanted to help my community and change policies at the local level and use my experience that I got organizing people and organizing with people to fight for these causes. I wanted to use that experience in the legislature to organize people to fight for these issues that we care about. Because I think that my experience campaign organizing can really be applied well to organizing in the community and really building support, working with other people, and getting people together to fight for issues. So that's my experience, and I feel it will help me a lot if I become your next legislator. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will start with Ms. Hille. And the question basically says is, many people say they never see their legislators, only once a year. How do you plan to combat this issue? What have you been doing to do so?
I've never been a legislator, but as a community organizer, my community knows who I am. They recognize my face, they know my name, they know my email address, and they know when my car is parked outside to come and knock on my door at 8 a.m. So I'm most certainly available to my community, and I have been available to my community for a long time. And they have knocked on my door at 8 o'clock in the morning and rung my bell, and I've gotten up, although reluctantly, because I was sleeping, and help them with the issue that they had. And I'm going to continue doing that. You know, I walk in my neighborhood. I walk to work. I shop locally. I work with organizations that are in my community. So I'm already visible, and I would continue, because I wouldn't have it any other way if I was elected.
Thank you, Ms. Hille. Mr. Fein, same question. Many people say they never see their legislatures, only one time a year. How do you plan to combat this issue? What have you been doing to do so?
Well, I agree that this is a big problem, and a lot of people talk to me about this, that they don't see their legislators. They see them once a year or once every 4 years, and I think that's a problem. I think we need legislators who are going to walk around the community, talk to people, and listen to their concerns and really include everyone in the process. And we need this not just during the campaign season, but after the campaign season also. And so I've been committed to just walking around, talking to people about the issues, and I've really enjoyed it, and I think people really appreciate getting the opportunity to talk to me and share their concerns. And I've been telling people that I am committed to continuing to walk around and stay active and go to neighborhood association meetings and community organizations and just let people know what the government is doing. Because I think this problem goes beyond just seeing your legislator, but people don't hear from them. They don't know what new government initiatives are taking place. They don't know what new laws are passed and how they can affect them. So I think this needs to be a larger effort of not just a legislator reaching out personally, but the government reaching out overall, doing more outreach to people about new initiatives and bills passed. We can have a better website with this information. We can have newsletters with this information. I think people really, they deserve to know. But they also they want to know because they want to be active. But many people, they don't know how to get active because they don't hear enough from the government. So that's something I think we really need to focus on more. And I'm 100% committed to staying active, continuing to be seen in the district and always being accessible to people. My people can call me anytime if they ever have a problem, and people have called, and I've helped some people in the community navigate the system, navigate the complex system of finding services available. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fein. And Mr. Ellis, same question. Many people say they never see their legislatures, only one time a year. How do you plan to combat this issue? What have you been doing to do so?
Absolutely. I 100% understand the question and what we're really trying to get at about engagement and empowerment and things of that nature. But I think we need to, really look in the mirror and understand that there are a lot of people who don't want to be seen. And when you go knock on those doors for every, what are you going to do for me, and what are you going to do for the youth, and what are you going to do about my taxes, and what are you going to do about my pothole, and what are you going to do about these bad kids and these boys walking around with their pants sagging? Every time you hear several of those, but you also hear I don't do politics. No, I don't want whatever it is you're selling. And that's because those folks have been beaten into the ground and they're numb, disenchanted with the system and completely disengaged. So what would I do? I hope to convert my neighbors, turn them not only into a coalition of the willing, but a group of the doing. Getting engaged in the work is a collective process. It's not something that an elected official, as a rule maker or as a community leader, does alone. And you have to find what we call mavens in each community, someone that knows a lot of people, that has a lot of swagger, as we would say, and have them help you build that coalition. So this is a two-way street for me. There's exchange and discourse. It's not just what will I do, it's what will we do.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. We'll start with Mr. Fein with our next question. Our question is, I'm concerned about the oil trains in our district. How would you tackle the issue to address it?
Well, I agree with your concern, whoever asked that. I think it's simply unacceptable that oil trains run right through our district, right next to people's homes. We've seen what happened in Quebec. An oil train derailed and 47 people died. Now, what if that happened in Albany? I think this is a disaster waiting to happen, and we need to do more about it. Now, it's not only a safety issue, but it's a health hazard because families live right next to these trains, and they're breathing in the fumes from the oil, and now they're trying to the company that's controlling the oil train, the oil is trying to heat the oil, which is just going to create more fumes. So we need to fight back about this. Now, I know that the trains are up to the federal government and the state government, but still, the county government can do more. We can make our voices heard, because the more local legislators who speak out about this and the more people in the community who speak out about this, the more likely we are to get the state or the federal government to take action. So I think this is an issue that this is one of the issues that we need to fight for, because our community, it really has been a dumping ground for a long time. And you know that these oil trains, they wouldn't run them through Loudonville. We need to fight back and let it be known that we don't want them running through our community. Thank you.
Thank you too, Mr. Fein. Mr. Ellis, same question. The person who wrote this question is concerned about the oil trains in the district. How would you tackle the issue to address it?
Certainly, I know and realize that this is a controversial / popular issue, in particular in the South End where the train lines run. I understand that. But this race is for Albany County legislator. And the jurisdiction of those matters, we are certain, is an interstate commerce issue, which is handled by the feds. So I'm going to take off my Albany rulemaking hat and put on my community leader hat to answer the question. I would certainly lead an effort for the folks down in the towers on Green Street to address bomb trains, as they're commonly referred to, by writing and engaging Congressman Tonko in the issue and providing a big voice. It would take all of New York, not only just Albany, but all of New York, all of the East Coast, all of America to scream at Congress to get them to change this issue, because there's a lot of money involved in this. And we know that with a lot of money behind it, there's a lot of lobby. So the only way to combat a lot of money is a lot of voices and a lot of votes. And I would be willing to be a part of organizing that effort. More importantly, I would address something that we could control, and that is the toxic fumes and air that goes into those towers on Green Street, South Mall towers, that is causing asthma, which I have, in many of the young people. And I know that through Albany Med and the Department of Health and other agencies, there's access to district money that we can use to do community health and educate folks how to best provide care to their children and keep that toxic air, toxic toys out of their lungs and out of their hands.
Thank you. And Ms. Hille, the same question. The questioner is concerned about the oil trains in our district, and how would you tackle this issue to address it?
So Chris is absolutely right. This is a federal issue. But as a community activist and somebody who's been very active in the most recent issue, which was the heating of the oil and the negative declaration from DEC, there's a lot that the community itself can do to stand up. The oil trains have been shipping oil through communities for decades. And I think the bigger problem is, why did we build homes next to train tracks? Why is there a park that children play in next to train tracks? The train tracks came first. The park came after. And we really need to evaluate where we put housing, and especially where we put low-income housing, because they don't deserve to have trains in their backyard. On top of that, I live within the blast radius, so this is particularly important to me. However, I also understand that these trains, that the oil does need to be shipped. We need to figure out how to ship it safely and minimize the effect that it's having on our communities. And we need to, what the county legislator can do is they can support and they can work with the city officials who've started the fight and who are continuing the fight, and they can work we can work with the federal officials, and together we can come up with a solution that's best for the community, because that's what matters in the end.
Thank you, Ms. Hille. This will be our last question, and I just we'll start it off with Mr. Ellis to answer, and the question is as follows. What do you think about the issue of transportation in the 6th District? Mr. Ellis.
Certainly. Transportation is a very complex issue. You could go to things that are associated with city government, like huge potholes and sinkholes on streets that cause damage to cars. We could talk about the plowing and maintenance of streets during snow emergencies and things of that nature. We could talk about public transportation and routes that get to places where residents in the district need to be, whether it be the new line on Morton Ave that transports a lot of folks to places like Albany Med, whether it be getting out to Troy to, say, the Capital District EOC for education and training opportunities, being able to move bikes, being able to address handy-capable people and their equipment that they need to traverse. All of those things are critically important. We all know that it takes strategy and money to execute those things. As a county legislator, there is significant overlap for transportation on the rulemaking side of things, and you have to listen to the voice of the people and pull the trigger on those issues that they find critical and just move forward. It's a very straightforward answer.
Thank you. And Ms. Hille, same question. What do you think about the issue of transportation in the 6th District?
I think that as a city in its whole, the transportation hasn't always been geared to people who are without their own personal vehicles, people who bike, and people who walk. Particularly in 6th District, which is a lower income communities, many people do not have access to vehicles and are reliant on public transportation in order to get to their jobs, get to their doctor's appointments, or school, many different things, shopping. So I think that we need to reevaluate, and we need to work, not only do we need to reevaluate the current transportation in Albany, we need to work with the city to increase available transportation. We need to ensure that there's transit from all neighborhoods, that it's not a 3 or 4 block walk. Some people have small children. They need to be able to get their children to a bus, especially in the winter. And we need to look for other ways to encourage alternative means of transportation, reducing vehicles, increasing bus ridership, bicycling, including some shared lanes or some completely dedicated bike lanes, and encouraging people to walk. You know, this city wasn't designed for cars, but it's become largely a car city. And we need to work to reduce that and get back to a more efficient means of transportation in the city and in the county.
Thank you. Mr. Fein, same question. What do you think about the issue of transportation in the 6th District?
I think that transportation in the 6th District is a very important issue. Many people within the 6th District don't have cars. They rely on public transportation. And so I think we need to expand public transportation options to people. I know that there's a group of people in the community who fought really hard for the 100 bus that goes up Morton Ave and provides access to people, public transportation access throughout the city, the CDTA. And so I think that's really important. But I think we need to continue this fight, and we need to continue to expand access. I've spoke with people who say that their kids get a job, but it's over at Crossgates Mall, for instance, and the problem is they have to take 2 or 3 buses just to get there. And I think that's a problem. Public transportation is really supposed to help people and supposed to help all people, and it's not fair that people who need public transportation most, because they don't have cars, they don't have their own personal transportation, can't get the transportation that they need to rely on. Also think things like bike lanes are a positive thing that we should pursue. I think cars are great, but at the same time, there's traffic, and not everyone has a car, and they're also cause pollution. And it's good to have other options for people, and more protected bike lanes, making biking safer in Albany would be a great thing. So I think we need to look into doing that also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fein. The floor will now be open for closing remarks from our candidates. We'll start off with Mr. Ellis, second, Mr. Fein, and third, Ms. Hille. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll take a poll of our candidates. Do you mind? Okay, so Mr. Fein, you go first.
Hi, thank you again for everyone for coming here and for listening to what I have to say and what everyone has to say about why they're running. I think we're facing a few important issues in our county, and especially within the 6th district. I think that our biggest priority, as I've said, needs to be more programs for the youth. The youth are our future, and a lot of them are struggling. A lot of them are getting into trouble because the programs just don't exist for them anymore. And the city controls, the school district controls the schools, but the county needs to use what we can do to take initiative on these issues, to really pursue our role as providing social services to expand programs for the youth and help people. Now, we also have a big problem with vacant buildings in the district. We have a lack of businesses, a lack of jobs. I think we need to address that too. If we can provide small business loans to businesses, if they agree to hire people locally, I think that would be a good incentive to get people jobs in the community. But it's more than that, because as going back to the youth, we need to train the youth to pursue jobs and pursue good opportunities. Train them and help them apply for jobs and help them apply for college and trade schools or whatever they want to do in their life. Show them that there are good opportunities for them and things that they can pursue, and show them if they're interested. So we really need to push for that. But yeah, I've been spending my time walking around the district, talking to people throughout the district about the issues. And I've really enjoyed that. And I think people have really appreciated having the opportunity to speak with someone and share their concerns and speak out. And I think that's really important. And I plan to continue to do that after the election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fein. Ms. Hille.
First, I want to thank you guys again for coming and hearing what we have to say. Aside from what I want to do that affects people close to heart, I want to work with the progressives in our legislature to reform how we do things as a body. Because of the failure of them to create the 5th legislative district 4 years ago, community leaders had to file a civil rights lawsuit, a lawsuit that was fought for 4 years and cost the county money that could be used to go to the land bank, to create youth programs, It could be put into social services. Instead, it's going to attorneys. And we're losing out on what that money could have done for our communities. We also need to ensure things like an administrative code so that the community knows what laws are being enacted. Beyond that, what we really need is diversity. And we need more women of color because we need to be represented too. Right now, although the county of Albany is more than 21% minority, we only have 10% representation in the legislature. Yesterday was the 60th anniversary of Emmett Till's death. And here, 60 years later, we are still fighting for equality, and that is a fight that we are going to have to continue. We have to work towards equality. It is important that we, the people of color and the communities of color, receive equal representation in our legislature and in our county and city and state government and federal government. Thank you. And thank you again to our sponsors.
Thank you, Ms. Hille. And last but not least, Mr. Ellis.
I'm humbled by the opportunity to stand here and present to you all tonight. Sister Pope is in the room, and I understand the work that you put in to make this happen. We have a bunch of rookies up here presenting ourselves for our hazing here by the crowd, but we love it. It was a fun experience, and we really appreciate the opportunity to present to you tonight. First and foremost, I am a human being, with all the trimmings and frailties therein. I'm a man endowed with energy and the strength, hopefully, to move mountains. I am an African American with the shared experience of struggle and triumph. I am a husband, a father, a homeowner, a taxpayer. I am a seasoned professional of 12 years New York State experience. I am a statewide leader of men and women. I am a mentor of youth, but for you, ladies and gentlemen, I am offering to be your public servant. A servant that is passionate, a servant that is intelligent, a servant with open ears and an open heart and an open mind. A servant that will be dedicated, a servant that will be true. And for that, I'd ask for your vote on Thursday, September the 10th, 2015, for Albany County Legislator, 6th District. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Ladies and gentlemen here, I give you our three candidates for the Albany County Legislature, 6th District. Mr. Christopher Ellis, Ms. Dannielle Hille, and Mr. Sam Fein.